Os, konbanwa. Konbanwa, genki desu ka? Hope you are genki desu. Hope you're well on this Tuesday evening. I think it's the 23rd of February today, isn't it? Can't believe it's already the end of February. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Karate in Your Own Dojo with Sensei Scoop. This evening, tonight's lesson, we're going to do a little bit of Kihon, a little bit of Kumite, a little bit of Kata. So a bit of all three. So all three of the elements. And just giving you kind of some basic techniques to practice. Keeping our fingers crossed that we will be able to return to the dojos sometime soon. So hopefully, fingers crossed after Easter. So I think that's the sort of date that we're aiming for at the moment. I will start doing the background work on that in terms of trying to get our dojos in agreement, I think, for having us back from as soon as whichever point we can, so as soon as possible. At the moment, it looks like the government advice is potentially that we may be able to return to the classes, the dojos, after the 12th. It may be that we could do an outside lesson if we find an appropriate venue towards the end of March. So I just don't know is the honest answer at this moment in time. So I'm just going to see if I can scroll this down a little bit. There you go. Yeah, I can't see anybody's. There we go. That's better. I can see people's comments now. So yeah, so basically that's the plan. Keeping our fingers crossed that we might be able to get together. Spoke to the black belts on Saturday. We had a good chat about possible venues. So if you know of an outdoor space in particular that we may be able to use, even when we do the rule of 6, which I think is not that far away, there's a possibility of doing something like that. I don't know yet. Mind is all over the place, but really we're looking for an outside venue as a possibility for doing that. So we train outside at one of our dojos in the spring and summer anyway. So it's just a possibility. We have to be really careful. Okay, the problem with an outdoor space is if it's too public, then it comes with its own problems. Anywhere that has dogs is out of bounds. We can't have that. Anywhere where there's possible issues around drugs and stuff like that in the local vicinity, we can't use. So it needs to be a private but public space, if that makes sense. School fields are perfect, but obviously the schools won't let us back until they're back. So, and the chances of that happening are slim at the moment. Excuse me. So yeah, so it's a very complicated sort of scenario. But as soon as we get back to the dojos, I will let you know. Go on in, sorry. Excuse me, the dog always needs to go for a wee when I start karate. What's wrong with that? So yeah, so that's the plan sort of so far in my head since the Prime Minister's announcement yesterday. But obviously it's fluid. We don't know yet. We don't know how things are going to go. So schools will open on the 8th. That's the first stage. And then we'll see how it goes from there. So I'll let you know as soon as I know. Right, good evening, Andy Sensei. Good evening, Sharon Sensei. Good evening, Tim Sensei and Huxtable Clan. Hope you are all well. Good evening, Michaela and Betsy. Good evening, Thomas-san. Good evening, Christian Sensei. I hope Zach's with you. Good evening, Lucy and Paul. Good evening, Nina and Zoe. Good evening, Ken Sensei. Hope you are all well. Very good. And good evening, Kayla. Good evening. Good. Thomas, how's your hair, young man? I hope it's okay. Probably still better than mine. I've had a trim, got my wife to take the dog scissors to it last week, and I think she's done a reasonable job. You haven't seen the dog, obviously, but, you know, anyway, we use the same scissors. It doesn't matter, does it? We're all part of the same family. Yeah, so this evening we're going to do some Kihon, some Kata and some Kumite, and link the three together. That's my plan. I came up with that literally 10 seconds ago. So what we'll do is we'll do a warm-up and then we'll get going. I do want to do a formal kneeling bow this evening, just really because we haven't done one for some time, and I don't want people to forget how to do it or how we do it, because there's different ways of doing it. So I'd like us to start with that, if we may, once we've done the warm-up. So we'll do the warm-up first, we'll get ourselves nice and warm, and then we'll do the kneeling bow, and then we'll get the lesson started. I hope that's okay, and thank you for joining me. Okay, great. Okay, so just shaking the legs off first of all, and then shaking the arms. Head backwards and forwards. Okay, so just taking your head and looking down 45 degrees, just looking down, stretching the back of the neck. So this stretches the back part of the neck up here. Okay, and then back to neutral. So neutral is facing forwards and back down. And back to neutral, and out to the side. And back to neutral, and to the left. And back to neutral. Okay, good. Shoulders, just relaxing the shoulders, moving forwards and backwards. Okay, so just bring the shoulders back. Squeeze. So you're trying to get your shoulder blades to touch and relax and squeeze and relax. Okay, then try to pull your shoulders down and pulling your neck up. Okay, so don't tilt your head back, but just try to pull your shoulders down and elongate the neck. And hold, and then relax, and hold, and relax. Okay, these are good stretches. My chiropractor gave me these for helping with a very stiff neck, and they really do help me with that issue. Okay, next thing then, hips around, koshi. So move your hips around. And both ways. Okay, very good. The arms back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, one arm forwards, one arm backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, arm stretching out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Crossing over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, tekubi. Sorry, ubis first. Then tekubi. Then one, your arms and hiji ate, your elbows. Okay, just relax, just relax. Okay, Zenkutsudachi, front stance. Okay, hips at Shoman, front facing. Okay, hips at Hammy. Shoman, Hammy. Shoman, Hammy. Shoman, Hammy. Shoman, Hammy. Change legs. Hammy, Shoman. Hammy, Shoman. Hammy, Shoman. Change legs. Okay, so now just make this a fluid movement. Just relax and change legs. Yes, this little bit does look a little bit like we're done Strictly, but it doesn't matter, does it? Okay, good. Try to connect and disconnect different parts of your body so that you maximise their use. So that's the key thing, or key part of karate. Can't tell if the dog's out there or not. Okay, so now taking your right knee up. Okay, holding it into the body, stretching. Okay, now stretching out, stretching out, stretching out. Come back, keep control, and back down to Shizentai, Heisukudachi. Okay, take the left knee up, bring it into your chest and hold. Okay, good, good, good. Now stretch. Typical, the dog wants to come in when I'm stretching. And slowly down. Okay, good. 8 arms up, knee up, balance, rotate through, and stretch forward, stretch with the back leg out, and balance. Okay, now come back with the knee, hands up, keep your balance if you can. If you can't, put your foot down, it's fine. Knee down and relax. Okay, take the left knee up. Higher. Balance. Rotate through. Keep your balance. Keep your form as best you can. Okay, bring the knee back. High, high, high up. High and down. Arms down. Shaking the legs. Okay, Kibadachi starts. Okay, just left arm out and just relaxing. Each knee. Sit down. Each knee. Sit down. Each knee. Sit down. Each knee. And relax. Shake the legs. Okay, straighten your gi. Hey, and your obi. Okay, so we'll do the bow as if we were in the dojo. So I'm going to turn away from you to face the front of the dojo. Okay, and we're going to bow. Okay, and then we'll turn and face and do sensei ni rei as well. Kyotsuke. So remember, left knee down and each. Straight down, back straight. cross the feet if you wish to do so, or have your feet like so. Sit back into Caesar and rei. Shomani rei. Sensei rei. Was. And up. And rei. Os. Os. Okay. So when you do the kneeling bow in Caesar, okay, kneeling position, quite an uncomfortable position, even more so for people like myself who have had knee surgery. I find it particularly difficult. And there have been times during my karate career where I've shattered my left leg, had 3 knee surgeries, where I've just not been able to do the Caesar. Okay, so if you're unable to go down to that kneeling position, please don't force yourself so that you're hurting and causing further injury. Okay, which ultimately will affect your karate, or worse still, stop you from doing karate. Just look after yourselves. You can do a standing bow and rei. Okay. Yes, unfortunately in the dojo you feel a little bit out of it because everybody else is in Caesar, Moksu, and you're in Moksu standing position. You do feel slightly isolated. However, you're using your brain to protect your body. Okay, this is really important. I cannot sit down on the backs of my heels like I used to be able to. It's just not possible with my knee surgery at all. So I go as far as comfortable and I don't push that. It's important you don't hurt yourselves. Okay, so rei, os. Okay, so Kihon first of all, basic positions first of all. Good evening, Isaac. Os, hope you are okay, young man. Okay, so rei, os. Hey, yoi. Okay, so left arm out, shokazuki position. Okay, so just paying attention to this hand on the hip. Okay, make sure it sits on top of your obi. So your obi, your belt, should be sitting on top of the hip bone. Okay, and usually you can feel that it's quite hard and quite tough. Okay, the obi sits on top, not below and not right up here. So it should sit down, and your obi should be relaxed. It's not keeping your pants up. Okay, these are called pants, by the way. Important that you don't think that that's what it's for. It's for keeping your gi correctly into the position. Okay, and obviously it shows our grade in karate, but that wasn't its original purpose at all. So this is here. So your hand goes on top. Now some instructors do teach the hand here, and some instructors teach it that way. That's fine. Hand here, please. Hand here, and your shoulder. You keep your shoulder where it is. Okay, so when the punch goes, shoulder does not come up. Okay, so the shoulder stays where it is. The elbow then is able to come in, so it's able to be more articulate. Okay, remember there's plenty of joints here to use this correctly. Okay, if we do this correctly and relax, then the punch will come out pretty straight. From the front, shoulder up, the elbow starts to drift out. You punch, and the punch is coming off center. Okay, you can see the punch as well as it drifts. Relax the shoulder, keep the shoulders down, the elbow, you see, tucks in much easier, okay? And you punch correctly to the center. Come back. So pay attention to this, please, when you're punching. Try not to, okay? So this is tension, and this is wrong tension, okay? We have to have tension, but in the right places. So in chokuzuki, straight punch, the tension comes just at the end. So as the kimai point finishes here, so the punch ends, as does the hikite hand, this ends. So you must connect these two together. If I just do it with my hands open, just so you can see the arms, keep the arms tight to the body. So you get this rubbing, brushing feeling. Okay, this is important. Then you know you're doing this correctly. Yeah, you know you're doing this correctly. So forgetting the punch at the moment, just the hands. Yeah. Hopefully no one does punches like this because it looks like you're swimming. Or is that a dance move? I'm sure that's from a dance. Anyway, so it's important to try to correct all these things as we think about our karate. Now, punching dead straight, center of the body. It's not easy, by the way, to bring this arm in. I do appreciate some people really will struggle with that. But, yeah, you can do it if you learn how to relax your body. And of course, higher grades, you can use a little bit of hip. Don't use your shoulders, just use your hips. So isolate in this area here. Your jiku, your axis point, okay, which if you think of that goes through the top of your head and down your spine and down between your legs and down to the floor. You pivot and rotate on that, particularly your hips. okay, or maybe your shoulders. Yeah, but that's your point. You don't want to be tilted out of out of your natural position. So Shizentai, natural position, is really important in karate, understanding what is natural for you. But also, if you know that you're like me, you maybe have a natural stoop. So in other words, I let my shoulders roll forwards. You can correct that in karate, and karate helps your posture. So I know that when I was younger, before karate, I definitely leant forward. Quite conscious of my size. I was 6'1", like a beanpole. Okay, it's not that tall, but it's taller than a lot of my friends. And so I rolled. But karate has kept me more upright. My confidence has also kept me more upright. So hopefully that makes sense. So with your arms, just tuck your elbows in. Okay, and nice and relaxed. Just punch in 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, very good. So can you feel the arms connected? Yeah, so a little indicator that help that hand as this twists over into your kime position is bring this elbow in. Yeah, just a little reminder, connect those two techniques. Okay, that's what I like doing. I like trying to connect movement. Okay, so a little bit faster, medium speed. Chudanzuki, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, yummy. Hey, very good, very good. Okay, just relax your shoulders. No need to bow at the moment because we're still continuing. Okay, so let's go for 10 fast, 10 speedo. Okay, ready. So now you have to relax the most. Okay, imagine you're on a beach somewhere. Well, actually, don't imagine that because it's not possible at the moment. Imagine you're somewhere comfortable or somewhere where you're happy and get ready to punch. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, yummy. Hey, mate, us. Hey, yoy. Okay, so people often think, why do chokuzuki? It's not even a very good punch. It's a training punch. It's not used in anything else. Well, it is used in kata. Okay, it's used in the kata basai dai. So again, that's something to have in the back of your head, basai dai. Okay, so the kata basai dai, we do a technique where we punch chokuzuki, come off the chest, and do motodachi, twisted stance, with a gyaku uchuki type feeling. Okay, so from Shizentai position here, imagine this position here, you're a white belt punching chokuzuki, correct? And then you turn into a brown belt, third kyu, second kyu, doing basai dai. Punched again as a white belt, off the chest here, motodachi, uchiuki, gyaku, feeling here. So straight away, you can see that the basic technique itself has become part of the kata. Well, that's quite an advanced kata, so sort of high-grade brown belt towards black belt. And I think probably from a Kihon perspective, one of the most basic fundamental katas there is, and everybody needs to know when they become a black belt and never forget. So it's a very, very important kata, is basai dai. We're not going to do the whole kata for basai dai because I want to move on to a couple other techniques so we link this in a little bit better. But you can just see. Now, do we use chokuzuki in kumite? In kumite? Not really. Okay, not really is the answer because we're in this upright, natural stance position. You don't get a huge amount of power from this. It doesn't really work. It works better in stance. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some techniques tonight, okay, that we're going to demonstrate as Kihon, basic, and then we're going to move into kata and then kumite to show you how we can combine these techniques. And I'm just going to use 2 simple techniques this evening, and then possibly on Thursday make it slightly more advanced. Okay, yeah, in fact, I definitely will make it more advanced if this goes well. If it doesn't, then I shall change my mind as normal. Okay, so yoi. So make sure you only really need a meter forwards and backwards, no more than that at this moment. So technique 1, us. We're going to step forward, gidambarai. Gidambarai is downward block. Okay, so remember, as I said previously, on previous weeks before, this yoi position here, okay, is pointing in the direction of travel of the block. So the block comes from here, near the shoulder. Don't bring it up too high because then you bring your shoulder up. Okay, here is good enough, and then come forwards, downward block. Okay, so I'm just going to try and see if I can get the whole body into position, okay, so that we stay within the camera frame. So from here, yoi position, and then down to Gambarai. Now you'll notice my hips go straight to Hanmi. Okay, I'd like you to do the same. So half facing position, please. Okay, so from Shizuntai, right? Os, yoi. So this is Hachidachi, which is part of the Shizuntai stances. Down, and we're moving to front stance, Zenkutsu Dachi, downward block. So we're just going to step forwards and then come back to yoi. Os. So step forwards, downward block, left leg, ich. Hey, yamei. So left leg back, and now change legs to right leg, Gidambarai in Zenkutsu Dachi, ish. And back. And change again, left leg, ich. And back. And right leg forwards, ich. And back. Okay, when you move forwards, it's difficult for me on this floor because I stick. Okay, so if you have a floor that is really, really good, you slide this foot. You probably see my foot just gets stuck on this floor. There's no friction is too good. So the problem here is that the floor is about -5 and my body's about 25 degrees. I don't know, maybe more warmer than that. But it's important to try to slide this foot out. So when you do get under right, try not to step forwards. Okay. With karate, hopefully this makes sense. Keeping contact with the surface of the floor with the two limbs that we're given to walk is always something we should keep in our head. So every time we take that foot off, we become less balanced and more vulnerable for that reason. So if you are stepping forwards, downward block, and you bring your foot up, as soon as you bring your leg up, you are vulnerable because you've gone to one leg. However, if you are able to take and slide that foot through, maintaining just that fine surface contact, you've got that stability. You have that stability, okay, which helps you control not only your technique, but makes you stronger, actually makes you faster as well. So that's really important to bear in mind. So if you're able to slide your foot rather than step or bounce, as my feet seem to be doing on this floor, okay, then please do so, okay. Focusing on the arms, the arm comes from the shoulder, and imagine you're pulling the sleeve off your gi down to the center. Don't overblock here. It just comes down the center to your knee. Okay, so in terms of where is it above the knee, Hiza here, the kneecap. Okay, well, Hizageshu here is the kneecap. Hiza here, knee, just above. I'd say pretty much a foot height away from it. Fist height away from it. This is more like a punch. This is definitely a punch. This is correct. Okay, this is not correct. So there's that balance there. Looking at your position here and hip back. Hip forwards, hip back. Okay, so this time we step forwards, Gidambarai. We step forwards, Gidambarai. And then we step back, Gidambarai. And we'll step back, Gidambarai. Just to practice this one technique, just for a few minutes. Okay, so stepping forwards. Please make sure I have room. Yoi. And step forward, Gidambarai. Ich. And back, change legs now, right leg forwards, knee. And back now, right leg back, san. And step up, left leg back, shi. And back, left leg forwards, ich. Right leg forwards, knee. Hey, right leg back, san. Hey, left leg back, shi. And back, horse. Okay, good, very, very good. Gidambarai. But it's not a difficult technique to do or learn, but I think difficult, every karate technique is to do better. Okay, so always try to challenge yourself, try to think of different ways of doing this. I definitely used to bring my elbow up, okay, because I used to bring my hand from my ear. So over the years, I've realized that that's a better position to be in and is just as more powerful. In fact, it's more connected, stays closer to the body. Anything that comes away from the body loses connection. Okay, the further my arm comes away, the more disconnected it is with the rest of the body. So if someone puts pressure on my hand now, my hand will go straight down. They won't need a lot of pressure because if they go to the top of my hand here where my fingers are, they're just going to push it down. However, if I bring that slightly, drop my shoulder and slightly, they're going to struggle a bit more. I give a little bit more control over this technique. If I bring it in further still and really connect my shoulder and my elbow to my body, they are going to struggle much, much more in terms of pushing my hand down. And of course, if I bring it in and lock it to the body, with these two joints now connected to the rest of the mass of the body, this is a much harder to push down. Yes, potentially the person will be able to do it, but it is much, much stronger. So try to keep the arm flowing with the body. So from this position here, keeping it as close and connected, not here. This is not correct. This is not a good position, good yoi position. This hand was too high. This hand was too high. So we're already in balance, and we've disconnected this arm. So we've lost its power. So keep it connected. Here, very good. Okay, great. Hey, yoi, technique 2. Step back, Idanburai. Make sure you have room to step back, Idanburai, and then room to step forwards. So, hey, yoi, and step back, Idanburai, each. Okay, so from here, oizuki stepping punch. Okay, so check your stance, make sure your knee is over your big toe, make sure your hips are hand-me, because you're in Idanburai position. And you're going to step forward, oizuki to the center, okay? Now, always remember you're working on your center, okay? So mine's quite difficult to spot because I can see myself on my computer screen, but I can't tell which camera lens I'm looking at. So I sort of sometimes have a little bit imbalance. For me, I assure you, it's my center, trust me, okay? I don't miss. So it's important to get your correct position before you start moving. Now with oizuki, you don't point your hand necessarily in terms of where you want to punch, like you do in terms of the blocks, okay? But if you take that center line, okay, your enbusen, okay, then that's where this is the performance line that you're following. So I've got a lovely crack down the middle of the floor here, and my stance, if you can see, is naturally 1 foot either side, okay? And your punch, delivered correctly, should come down the center of that line. Okay, again, pay attention to your shoulders. Don't have your shoulder up. Don't bring this off the hip too soon. Keep the elbow tucked in as much as possible. You probably already worked out that even with these two very simple basic techniques that you learn within your first 2 or 3 weeks of training, lots and lots of things to think about. Okay, so we don't expect everybody to think about all these things all the time. But what I like to do in these sessions is try to teach a lesson that is great for a 9th Q or a 10th Q beginner, and still great for a 7th Dan, okay, who's just practicing their Kihon, because you don't ever stop practicing it. Okay, so back to Idanburai position. So we're just going to come through nice and slow to Chudan Oizuki, okay? So stepping forwards, each. Okay, now when you finish, make sure your punch is to the center of the body, okay? And come back, okay, and each, and back. Not too, don't bring the elbow out, don't bring the shoulder up. Try to focus, ishiki, position, feel comfortable, and push, and punch. And back in and right. So, ich, and back. Ni, and back. San, shi, hey, hey, change legs. Check your stance. Yeah, as a beginner, you will look down. Okay, as a higher grade, you will feel. Feel good. Yeah, what's natural? What's natural? Is my knee twisting? Am I able to explode forward comfortably? These are things that you work out over a period of time. Okay, depending on where you're training. The surface area that you've got. Some dojo halls you're training with on wooden halls where you move and the friction burns are horrific. Take off soles of your feet and skin. I've trained on floors like that. You can train on really good dojo floors where you just glide across the surface. Okay, our Gangen dojo is just like that. It's just beautiful. I remember training in Grenoble with Andy and Carl Sensei, and they will tell you that the dojo floor for the downgradings that weekend was like marshmallow. Literally like marshmallow. So we were training on judo tatami, but they were not proper judo tatami mats. They were marshmallow mats. And so therefore you sank. So you have to make allowances for whatever surface you're working on. Okay, so if you can't maybe slide as you would naturally, then you think about something else to focus on. So you take your time. You take your time. Okay, step back, left leg, get down, right? Okay, so again, check all your position, make sure you're comfortable, hips are back at hand me, and punching oizuki, each, and back, get under right. Remember not to bring the arm up, knee, and back, san, shi, and back, go, go, and back. Hey, this time, kiai, ich, zia, hey, yamei, hamrei, os, hey, noi, and relax. Okay, os. So, oizuki. If you speak to a Japanese karateka, they will probably tell you, and if not tell you, show you, this is their most dynamic, most powerful, the strongest punch that they do. Okay, they use it a lot in their Kihon, they use it a lot in their Kumite. And in fact, they're very successful in the 80s and 90s in terms of karate competition. You would often see the flying oizuki, and it would be so fast. Okay, and it's really quite spectacular to watch. For me, I've always felt this is probably the weakest of all my punches. And I think being gangly, 6'1", and being a little bit too tall maybe, and not having the physique of a nice, perfectly formed Japanese person, or indeed some of my own students, I've always felt that I've just lacked power on this. I couldn't ever seem to get the weight down, which meant that I couldn't get the power to the punch. So for my Gyakuzuki, I could feel this and getting more and more powerful. In fact, my Gyakuzuki was my best punch by far and scored me most competition wins by a million miles away. I don't think I ever scored with an oizuki. I felt the transition from front stance coming through, difficult to do, okay? And I just felt that I was lacking power. And all sorts of things were wrong. I was too low to start with. Then I was too tall. My hips were in the wrong position. My arm was coming out, so that meant my shoulder was up. My shoulder was up, my elbow was out. So I was losing all my form. Over the years, I've worked out that as I try to develop this punch and make it better and better and better, is keeping it connected again to the body. So keeping it connected, don't let it come off the hip until it has to. So make it connected to the body. And then of course the punch becomes stronger because it's more part of you for more of the time. And just this point as it finishes. And it suddenly starts to make sense. Now you may understand how to do it correctly. Physically doing it is much harder. And I think that's what takes the time and the years. But I will honestly say I feel more confident in this punch now, 30 years in, than I did 3 years in, 10 years in, 15 years in, 25 years in. So for me, getting more and more confident with this punch as I get older, which seems a bit daft after, why is it taking so long? So for me, it's a hard punch. For some people, it's a really good, strong punch to do. I think a lot of other things, and I can't shoot this with camera tonight because as soon as I come close, it looks like I'm going upwards and I'm not. But one thing to keep important in your mind is when you're moving oizuki, you keep that same height. So your yoi position is the same. Okay, so the height of the body, you may be able to tell the units behind. I can't get low enough to get, maybe I can. Maybe not. Okay, so this is what we don't want to do. This wave. We don't want to come up and down. We want to try to make sure that when we're doing this technique, we are coming straight and true and staying the same height until we finish the punch. And for me, that's where the difficulties lie. The difficulties lie being gangly, coming up and coming down. That's been part of the nemesis, I think, of oizuki over the years. But if you let your hips drop, get your stance into a good position, don't be too long, okay, but get yourself into a nice, comfortable position. You can, if you use your hips correctly, okay, you can drive through here and make this a successful punch, keeping level height. I have no idea if that's coming across on camera. I have no idea if I'm doing it correctly. As I've said before, do as I say, maybe not necessarily always as I do. I'll look back at this, I'm sure, and think, oh God, that was terrible. But stay focused, come through, and Oizuki. If I just change legs, okay, so here, keep this to the hip. Come through to this yui position here, okay, so then drive through, as if you're stabbing, it's a stabbing motion. Now for me, Gyakuzuki makes sense, so why does this not be any, this is no different. So don't separate the two. Yes, one's reverse and one's not, okay, but it's the same action. Both the hand stays on the hip, this one follows the leg, this one opposite, so it follows the hip, maybe better. So try to make sure, if you can with this punch, look center, look straight, okay, and punch through, and foot and arm should land together. Okay, I'm bouncing and sticking a little bit with the floor this evening, but hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we combine the two and we just do a couple of techniques forward and backwards. Okay, so right. Okay, step back, Gidanbarai Kamai. Ich. Okay, so Oizuki right leg, stepping forwards, Oizuki migi. Ich. Ai back Gidanbarai. Ai ni. And back Gidanbarai. San. And back. Shi. Oh, kiai. Jump stance. Tobidachi, jump stance. Okay, so now the left side. So hidari, left leg coming through, left hand punching Oizuki. Stepping back, left leg Gidanbarai. Okay, hidari, left side. Also, remember, 90% of our classes, 90% of the world are right-handed. Okay, so you practice a lot of your techniques with that hand all the time. Your Shotokan karate is very right side biased, unless you have an unpleasant sensei like me. And because I'm left-handed, we do the other side a lot. So that's important, okay, is to try to get that balance, the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, the Jedi and the Sith. You have to have these connections, okay? So try to get balance all the time. Thanos, as a character in Marvel, is seen as a baddie, but he has a point. You have to have balance in life, okay? Really, really makes a lot of sense. Just try building a bridge that does this out of Lego, okay? And make one side twice as big as the other one and see where the balance is. You'll understand what I mean, if you like Lego. Okay, yoi. Okay, step back, left leg, ich. Gidanbarai position, Oizuki, ich. And back. Ni. Hey, and back. San. Shi. Go. Hey. Hey, and hey. Hey, in a way. Okay, awesome. So, Kihon, done. Move on to kata. So how do we make this part of a kata? So if we take our first two katas that we do in Shotokan karate, okay, kata number one, Taikyoku Shoden. Okay, Taikyoku Shoden, Kihon kata, sometimes referred to. The first kata you learn. 20 moves made up of just down the block and the Oizuki punch. Okay, so doing exactly those two techniques. We've done in exactly the same way, but moving now in a pattern, a form. Okay, the form of this pattern, those 20 moves, block, punch, block, punch, block, punch, 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 block, punch, block, punch, block, punch, 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 block, punch, 20 moves done. Thus, you can play that back slowly and count them if you want to. So just those two techniques, and I would think most black belts would say this is the most challenging of all the kata, even though it's the first you learn, and possibly the easiest to learn, hardest to do. because it has nowhere to go. You have to show the perfection of your form as you do your first Gidan Barai, then your transition to your first Oizuki, and then as you turn Gidan Barai, your second Oizuki, and connecting those techniques. You have this block and punch, and it has to be fluid, it has to flow, and the stances have to be low and strong. Lots and lots of things to think about. So yes, basic kata to learn, challenging kata to do, I think, properly. Of course, Heian Shodan starts in the same way. So we start with a Gidan Barai Oizuki. So this plays well into both those. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do the first 4 moves, I think, of Taikyo Kushodan. Okay, so we should hopefully you'll be able to fit these into your dojo. If you need to shorten your stance, that's absolutely fine. Again, please don't worry about that. If you have to double shuffle as you punch, you can do so. But you'll hopefully see that I have enough room to at least do the block and punch correctly, so that you're able to watch. Okay, we have to adapt in these situations with working online. Not everybody's fortunate enough to have a reasonable sized kitchen like I do. I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky. Basically knocked down half the house to do it, but it was worth it, especially just for this eventuality. Had no idea I was doing that 14 years ago. Okay, so ready? Hey, yoi, taikyo kushodan. So we're looking. We have an opponent coming in fast with a fast maigeri, okay, kicking hard to the side. We need a good, strong block. But the first thing we shouldn't do is tense as we look. We need to keep the shoulders down. The head just turns. Disconnect from the rest of the body, just the head. Then we come into this yoi position here and Gidan Barai strong. It hips in hand me, half facing here. Then, keeping strong, now our target has been blocked. We've blocked that maigeri, good strong Gidan Barai. That leg has spun them down a little bit, step through, and punch your Oizuki. Look over your shoulder now. Okay, and get ready to move this hip. Your left hip rotates forward, and as it does, in turn, your right hand and right hip come back. So they turn, Gidan Barai. So you've got to have this feeling of this rotation of your hip. So this hip comes forward as this one gets pulled back. So it's that hikate. Hikate is really, really important part of karate. Okay. So once again, just Gidan Barai. So from here, yoi position Gidan Barai. Keep that hand meet or Oizuki. And then get these hips moving, turn, Gidan Barai. And then forwards, Oizuki. Back. Okay, so once more, looking first. Gidan Barai, Oizuki. Turn, Gidan Barai, Oizuki. Back to Shizentai. Think of your hips as you turn, bring it back. So the hip towards the punch area here or blocking area here, and then the Gidan Barai with the hip back gives you that power. Then again, rock those hips, Oizuki. Rock those hips, come back. As this finishes here, this hip comes back. Connected, connected. Rock the hip, look forwards, Oizuki. Okay, so, ready? Os. Hey, yoi. Taikyo kushodan. Hey, first move. Looking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready? And ready. Os. Hey, back to your position. Hips. Okay, so try to think of that if you can, higher grades especially, please. Lower grades, think just more about remembering the moves. So Gidan Barai. But with kata, your mindset changes from Kihon. Okay, and this is where the two start to link, and then we'll eventually link into the third element, which we'll do in a minute, called Kumite. Okay, So Kihon, basic technique, basic Gidan-Burai, basic Oizuki. Kata, still the same thought, basic Gidan-Burai, basic Oizuki. However, now we visualize. We visualize an attacker, an opponent coming in strong with a very fast, maybe Oizuki themselves, maybe a Maigeri, whatever, okay, whatever technique, they're coming in hard. So we visualize that. So this will help our performance in terms of making this more real. So we look in and we visualize. Okay. If you don't look, well, then you're just doing Kihon. You're just doing basics again. You're not doing kata. Okay. Always look. Always focus to where you wish to go. Look, then block. Look, block strong. Look, attack. Attack strong. So that mindset should be block, finish. Block, finish. Yeah, so ukiyame. Ukiyame, which essentially means block and finish. But I hope that makes sense. You've got to change your mindset when you do kata. Kata, you have to visualize that you're in some kind of imaginary battle. I think is probably the best thing to really truly understand it. So for me, I've always said to people, I bow, I yoi. Once I've said the name, Taikyo Kushuran, I'm there. And whilst I'm talking to you, I'm still in this position, okay, this alert position, this ready position, okay? But as soon as I look, I'm in. Okay, I'm waiting for my opponent to come. So you can look without need for movement because you're looking. I haven't necessarily attacked you. And then when you're ready, bang. Okay, so having that mindset is really, really important, I think, in terms of making your understanding of kata a bit better all the time. So, Paikyo Kushudan. Ayame. It's a bit of a shame I'm sticking to the floor so much because I can't slide and I want to show you that, but never mind. Never mind. I was getting some slide and I seem to have got cold feet again, so my apologies, it's just not going to happen. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense. Okay, so here Shodan obviously starts exactly the same, but then on this side we do a hammer fist Tetsuyuchi, then another Oizuki. But it's the same principle, it's the same mindset. Gidan-Burai Oizuki, Gidan-Burai Tetsui Oizuki. So, and you don't just use these basic Kihon techniques here in just those two katas, you will use those techniques potentially in other kata. Okay, so now moving on to our third and final element then, how do we make this work in terms of kumite? How do we make this work in terms of kumite? So, Gidan-Burai from a Kihon position. If you think of Kihon Ippon Kumite, so this is basic one-step kumite, okay, we are going to connect with maybe a kick coming towards us. So someone saying Maigeri, os, hey, step back, Gidan-Burai, Gyakuzuki, and back. I change legs, so Maigeri kicking in again, Maigeri, os, ish, aya, and back. Change legs again. Maigeri kick in. Maigeri. Us. Aya. And once more. Left leg. Maigeri. Us. Aya. And back to Shizentai and ready. Us. So that's just a very simple, basic technique, isn't it? A very simple, basic way of doing it. Okay, so then we can change that. We can change that a bit more advanced in terms of what technique we're doing. We don't just have to do Gidan-Burai and Gyakuzuki. I mean, as part of our Kihon concepts, we do that, okay, as our first block for a front leg kick, a Maigeri kick. But you can adapt it. You could do Gidan-Burai Oizuki, okay, so we can do that. So let's do it. Maigeri. Us. Aya. Hey, change legs. Relax. Maigeri. Us. Aya. Now, to make that a bit more realistic, what we're going to do is we're going to change our mindset from Kihon Ippon Kumite. I'm going to take a couple of stages further to Kaishi Ippon Kumite. So do you remember we did this a few weeks ago? So Kaishi Ippon means return one step. Okay, Kaishi is the word for return, and Ippon is one, and Kumite is fighting. So that's the same thing. So if you think of an initial attack, okay, so your attacker is kicking Maigeri, or your attacker is coming in Chudanzuki as the first attack. Okay, your first defense is blocking Gidanbarai. Okay, so you block the Maigeri or you block the front punch, Chudanzuki. Okay, then you attack back Chudanzuki. Okay, so what's quite a nice thing to do as a partnership, okay, is if I face this way, person coming in Chudanzuki, you step back blocking Gidanbarai, Chudan, os, and attack back Chudan. They will then block back Gidanbarai, Gyakuzuki. So in other words, you mirror each other. That's a really nice one. So not something we do huge amounts of in the dojo in terms of keeping those two the same. Quite often we stick with Kaishi Ippon to the traditional Jodan and Chudan, or Chudan and Jodan. But this is one way of making this work for Kumite, okay? So we'll play both parts, okay? We'll play both people. So let's do some Kaishi Ippon Kumite, okay? So bow to your imaginary partner, os. You only need about 1.5 meters. You don't need far. Okay, you're ready to receive. The person is stepping back with their right leg Gidanbarai, and they're coming in with a right-handed Oizuki punch to your stomach. So you're going to step back Gidanbarai. Okay, so they've said nice and loud, Chudan, os. So block and counter punch. Hey-ya! Hey, okay, so you're now this person, os. So you step back Gidanbarai, each. I thought I was going to kick the dog's box, but there you go. Okay, so remember the position you need to be in for attacking Oizuki. Okay, so remember they're going to be, you're going to be attacking Oizuki, and then you're going to have to come back Gidanbarai, Gyakuzuki. But you could, of course, do a Gyakuzuki, Gidanbarai, Oizuki. You can change that. So let's do this side. So they're going to say Chudan, os. Oh, sorry, we're going to attack. My apologies, I'm thinking wrong way around. So Chudan, os. Hey-ya! 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 So that's Oizuki. Imaginary opponent. You can't see them, but they're there. Okay, for me, visualize. You have to put somebody there. The person steps back Gidanbarai. I look at their right hand's coming to me. I step back Gidanbarai to block. I then attack Oizuki. Okay, they block back Gidanbarai, then they come back Oizuki. Oh, good punch. Yeah, you have to visualize it. It's so much easier with a partner, okay, but obviously at this moment in time that's not possible. But let's keep our fingers crossed for the 12th of April that it may very well be. So how does Gidanbarai work further down the line of Kumite? Can we make this into a more natural technique instead of this big Gidanbarai that we use from basics, okay? So we've linked the Kihon to the Kata using the same basic moves, but they are adding in the principle of Kumite. Kihon, basic moves. Kata, basic moves in a fighting context. Now, Kata, it becomes fighting together, of course. So from a Judachi position, from a fighting position, does Gidanbarai work as a very effective block? Yes, it does. It's really good. It's really good. And Oizuki, as I already told you, maybe at the beginning of the lesson, certainly from my experience, the Japanese fighters make it superb. I'm not suggesting for a second it's just the Japanese that use Oizuki, but they are well renowned for it. And when I've seen them in Japan, and they use it a lot. And they're very good at it and very fast at it and make it seem very, very natural. So Oizuki, Gidanbarai is an effective block, and Oizuki is an effective attack. As I say, I don't think I've ever scored with an Oizuki. Maybe Jodan, yes, not Chudan. So Oizuki Chudan, I've never scored with that. Jodan, I have done. So Judachi, so fighting stance. So right, yoi, and step down Gidanbarai, hey, and then come back to Kamae position. Okay, so Judachi, if you take your normal Zen Kutsudachi, okay, here, this Gidanbarai, you bring your foot back. Don't come upright. Yeah, so it's still quiet, but you're more flexible in the legs and the knees. Okay, So when we're blocking Gidan-Burai, the block will come from where the hand is. So we don't need to bring it up here. We just drop, because we move the body, Tai Sabaki, so yeah, and punch. We don't need to do the big blocks anymore because we're using body movement, body evasion. Okay, I'm trying to think of an angle where this will work best for you to be able to see it. And I'm struggling with that little concept in my head. So maybe I'll do 45 degrees. Maybe I'll do 45 degrees. Okay, so Judachi position here. Okay, and this time we're going to do a Gidan-Burai block and then coming in with a Oizuki. Okay, now you'll notice that Oizuki from this shorter Judachi stance is easier to do from a long Zenkutsu. Okay, so from this position here, blocking each here, okay, and back. So back from here, Gidan-Burai, so it's that definitely that stabbing motion. Okay, that you need to keep it connected to the body. So don't do like I used to do. Okay, big arm, and then this is worse still. The Oizuki came from the side. Yeah, just disconnected from the body. When we do Jukumite, okay, so fighting, connections in terms of understanding how your body works is much more important than ever before. Yes, it's important in your basics, your Kihon, important in your Kata. But when you're doing Kumite, if you don't have it connected to your body correctly, it won't be effective, it won't be strong, could cause you injury. So that's really important. So let's bow. Yoi, step down, Kamai, H. Okay, so ready. Punch coming in, blocking Gidan-Burai, then Oizuki. Okay, so are you ready? Ich, hey, back to Kamai. Ready. Ich, oh, I feel slow. I feel old. Again. Ready. Ich, okay, change legs. Same thing again. So keep that stance nice and relaxed. Okay, remember your block is much shorter. It doesn't need to be so big a strong block because you are moving the body, Tai Sabaki. And then as soon as you block, boom, you power in with your Oizuki. Best you can. I'm sure you can be better than Sensei. Okay, are you ready? Judachi position. Ich, that was pretty shocking. Let's see if we can do that better. Ready? Ich, again. Ich, Oizuki. One more. Let's make it right this time. Ich, okay, hey, yame. And so hopefully tonight's lesson you can see the development of this technique, okay? So, or both of them, sorry, two techniques. Basic Gidan-Burai, Zenkutsu, basic Oizuki, Zenkutsu. Then moving into Kata, looking, basic Gidan-Burai, basic Oizuki, but thinking more now battle fight. Taking it to Kumite, Gidan-Burai, Oizuki. So you can see that connection. Remember the three Ks of karate. Okay, if you think of them on that point of an equilateral triangle, easy for me to say. Yeah, each one is on each point. So Kihon, Kata, Kumite makes them no difference where they are on that point because all the points are equal. Put a pinhole right in the center. Okay, so in other words, drawing those angles. Put a pinhole in, spin that. You then create a circle. And that's what karate is. It's this revolving circle where all these connections constantly keep spinning and keep learning and keep going. So this rotation. Okay, so you can't have one without the other. You can't have Kihon with bad Kata and Kumite. You can't have bad Kumite with good Kihon and Kata. So you've got to get a balance as much as you can. I always said to people when I was younger, I'm really good at Kumite. I'm not bad at Kihon and I'm terrible at Kata. And that was true. There was a big imbalance, yeah. As I became a black belt, my Kihon definitely improved. My Kumite stayed steady and the two of those became more balanced. And there was still this weakness at the bottom of the triangle. It just wasn't equilateral at all. And it was still my Kata. And it wasn't until really that I've been training for 15 or so years, was grading from my sandan that I started to really truly understand the connection between the three. Okay, and it was a very, very long grading, ridiculously long grading, and a very tough grading. But what I learned from it, and it was a learning experience, not just doing a grading, was how the three were connected. And it was from that point forwards that I was able to improve my kata, build confidence, even compete doing kata, and things like that, and just actually really beginning to enjoy it. So don't give up is probably my advice. All I am is some old bloke who hasn't given up karate yet. That's the only difference between me and somebody who's just started tonight. Yeah, we are no different. The only thing that separates us is time. Okay, and that person, if they come back on Thursday, hasn't given up, and I haven't given up. I have no intention of doing so. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So try to develop these three areas as balanced as you can, but work on one at a time, maybe. I focus on different things over a period of time. I don't think a week's enough, and I don't think a month's enough. So what I will do is I will focus on one area of my karate for a period of 3 to 6 months, okay, trying to improve that in particular, and then I'll work on another one, and then another one, and another one. Actually, I have 2 or 3 on the go generally, but in each element, Kata, Kihon, and Kumite, but as I said as a beginner, that's too complicated. Separate them maybe a bit more. Okay, so Kyosuke, we'll finish there, and Rei, os. Dojo kun. Hitotsu, jinkanku o kansei ni soremoto koto. Hitotsu, makato no michi o moru koto. Hitotsu, doryoko no seishin o yashinau koto. Hitotsu, regyo o mojo o koto. Hitotsu, keki no yo imashimoru koto. Right, os. Thank you so much, Us, as always, for joining me. I hope your dojo was fine. Mine was nice this evening. Shame about the floor being so cold, but it was enjoyable to be able to train, and hopefully some of you have enjoyed that and got something from it this evening. Thank you so much, as always, for your comments and saying hello and goodbye. That's really good of you. Keeps me going, keeps me really interested. Us, you're very, very welcome, Isaac. That's very, very kind of you and very generous. Thank you so much. Us. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you on Thursday, 7 p.m, same time on YouTube, and hopefully see you soon. Us. Oyasu nasai, arigatou gozaimasu. Good night. Jamatane. Us. See you later. Us. Us.